Welcome back to Saints and Sinners, where faith is tested in dirt and blood, where miracles don't ask permission, and where history leaves receipts. Because today's story doesn't begin in a cathedral, it begins in a ditch. He was born into poverty in early 17th century Spain. No pedigree, no education beyond catechism. Just the faith of farmers, hard soil, calloused hands, and trust that God sees what the world ignores. His parents lived simply, virtuously, and they taught their children the only thing they could afford to pass on, the faith. He was baptized on March 25th, 1617, raised on the sacraments, and from childhood he carried a deep, almost instinctive devotion to the Virgin Mary, venerated in Zaragoza as Our Lady of the Pillar, the patroness of Spain. He would need that devotion because life was about to take something from him that no doctor could give back. This is Saints and Sinners. In the summer of 1637, barely 20 years old, he took work hauling wheat on a farm in Valencia. Hard labor, honest work, the kind of job where nothing heroic ever happens, until it does. One afternoon, leading 2 mules and a loaded cart, he lost his footing. The harness slipped, the cart lurched, and a wheel crushed down on his right leg, below the knee. Bone shattered, tibia fractured. This isn't a maybe. This isn't a wait and see. This is a death sentence, or worse. They rushed him to Valencia, 5 days of treatments, poultices, dressings, and hope. But none of it worked. By October, feverish and weakening, he was brought back to Zaragoza and admitted to the Royal Hospital of Grace. 3 surgeons examined him, including the head of surgery at the university. Their verdict was unanimous. Gangrene, advanced, blackened. The leg was killing him. There was only one way to maybe save his life: amputation. And that was performed mid-October. No modern anesthesia, no antibiotics, virtually no optimism, only drugged wine and restraint. And as the saw bit into flesh, witnesses would later testify that the young man cried out again and again, not in anger, but calling on the Virgin of the Pillar with fervor, asking her for a way to help provide for his family, not for him, but for them. They removed the leg, 4 fingers below the knee. A medical student was assigned a task that sounds strange to modern ears, but was natural to the people of that time. He buried the amputated limb with reverence in the hospital cemetery, because even broken bodies were still destined for resurrection. The leg was placed horizontally in a measured grave and covered, gone forever. Against all odds, he survived, which by the standards of the day was miracle enough. But survival came at a cost: a wooden leg, a crutch, and no way to work. So he did what the poor have always done when dignity runs out before food does. He begged, authorized, known, and visible. Instead of cursing God, instead of turning bitter, instead of collapsing inward, he turns towards devotion. Every day he went to Mass at the Basilica of Our Lady of the Pillar, and every day after Mass he rubbed the stump of his leg with oil from the lamps burning before her image. He kneels, he prays, he asks for nothing flashy. Not wealth, not restoration, not even healing, just enough grace to endure. This goes on for years. Years of pain, years of humiliation, years of watching life move forward without him. Doctors warned him to stop with the oil, said it slowed healing, but he didn't listen. Because when you've already lost everything, you stop pretending health rules outrank faith. And in the back of his mind, he kept praying with the faith of a child that he could one day help his family. In 1640, he returned home to Kalanda, over 100 kilometers away, riding a small donkey. Villagers saw him, remembered him, knew his missing leg. He begged from town to town, worked when he could, prayed constantly. On March 29th, a Thursday during Passion Week, the 1600th anniversary of Our Lady of the Pillar, he worked harder than usual, hauling manure baskets for his family. By nightfall, exhausted and sore, he was forced to give up his bed to a soldier quartered in the home and lay down on a mattress on the floor. He removed his wooden leg, pulled the cloak over himself, too short to cover his body, and he fell asleep. Between 10:30 and 11 that night, his mother entered the room. She noticed something first, a sweet fragrance, almost unmistakable. She raised her lamp. 2 feet were sticking out from beneath the cloak, and they were crossed. She thought there had been a mistake and that the soldier was now on their bedroom floor. Afraid for what this might mean for them and their family, making a soldier sleep on the ground, she ran for her husband. They lifted the covering to wake the soldier up and move him to a place more comfortable. And there lay our boy. Where there had been absence for over 2 years was a leg. Not a phantom, not an illusion, but a real leg. They attempted to wake him. He was in such a deep sleep that it took several minutes for him to come to. He felt something he hadn't felt in years: weight, pressure, warmth. He throws back the covers, and there, where there had been empty space for years, was a leg. Not scar tissue, not illusion, a full leg, bone, muscle, foot, with all the scars, matching the ones from the original injury. His first words were not celebration, they were confession. He asked his father to forgive him for every offense he had committed against him. He told his parents of the dream he had of being in the chapel of Our Lady of the Pillar, rubbing his amputated leg with oil. He knew instantly what had happened. The doctors came, the officials came, the village processed to the church. A new leg, but old scars remained, the fracture mark, old childhood wounds, dog bites, a cyst scar, and one final sign, a red circular mark where the leg had been rejoined. The buried grave in Zaragoza? Empty. The canonical investigation began. More than 100 witnesses, doctors, surgeons, clergy, neighbors, not one dissenting voice. On April 27, 1641, the Archbishop formally declared it. The leg was restored. The act was miraculous. So who was this man? A peasant? A laborer? A nobody by the world standards. His name was Miguel Juan Pellicer. And his story isn't about spectacle. It's about what happens when ordinary faith meets impossible loss. What if the miracle isn't proof that God will fix everything, but proof that he can, even when he doesn't? What if faith isn't about outcomes, but endurance? Miguel rubbed oil on a stump that didn't heal. Not once, not occasionally, but every day. There was no evidence it worked, no progress, no results, because faith isn't validated by outcomes, it's revealed by persistence. For years, he prayed with one leg, not for a miracle, just for the ability to provide for his family. He didn't bargain with heaven. He didn't set deadlines. He simply trusted. He endured. And when heaven finally answered, it didn't come with fireworks. It came quietly, at home, in sleep, after years of faith without reward. For more than 2 years, nothing changed. No healing, no relief, no sign that heaven was listening. Just a stump, a crutch, and the slow grind of daily humiliation. And still, he showed up. He still prayed. He still knelt. And he still trusted. That's the kind of faith that doesn't test God or treat prayer like a transaction. It's the kind that keeps going even when the answer is silence. Because faith isn't what you do after things improve, it's what you do when they don't. And when the miracle finally came, it didn't erase the suffering. The scars remained, the memories stayed. God doesn't pretend the pain never happened, He gives it meaning. So if you're waiting on God to act, waiting on healing, waiting on restoration, remember this: God is never late, He's deliberate, and His grace always arrives right on time. And speaking about arriving right on time, if this story stayed with you, don't just carry it. Pass it on, because someone else might need to hear it right now. So follow, subscribe, and leave a review so these stories can find the people who need them most. Until then, keep showing up when nothing changes, keep praying when the answer is silence, and keep walking in faith. Because saints rise, sinners fall, and history bears witness.